Dear student, welcome to the lecture on machine learning. In last video, I introduced support vector machines. Now, I would like to explain the rest of the part under the support vector machines. I already explained what is an hyperplane, what is n-dimensional space, and what is support vector in the last video. Once again, I'm recapping some important points which are required to continue further. Right. Coming to the hyperplane. Hyperplanes are also called as decision boundaries. These decision boundaries are simply straight lines. On the decision boundaries, some instances may be appear. Such kind of instances are treated as support vectors. Such kind of instances are treated as support vectors. Right? Hyperplanes may be as straight lines or decision boundaries. On the decision boundaries, some instances may appear. These instances are called as support vectors. And by using these hyperplanes, the classes are identified. Classes are identified by using these hyperplanes. Where classes are existed, what classes contains? Classes contains instances which are on the instance space. Classes contains instances which are on the instance space. Here, the instance space is divided into n number of dimensional spaces. See why these number of dimensions are, these number of divisions are required means to identify the classes effectively from the instances which are on the instance space. We are using these hyperplanes, right? With the help of hyperplanes, we will get the best decision boundaries. With the help of these decision boundaries, these best decision boundaries, classification done exactly. Here, the best boundary is known as the hyperplane. These hyperplanes are used in the SVM. Got the point? Here, how many number of hyperplanes are required to perform classification? See, the dimensions of hyperplane depends on the features which are presented in the data set. See, based on the features of a data set, the dimensions of the hyperplanes are depending. Now coming to the support vectors. What is a support vector? I already told you what is a support vector in the last video. The data points on the decision boundaries. The data points on the decision boundaries. These points may be close to the, here data point means instances. Data points mean instances. These instances which are on the hyperplane or which are very close to the hyperplane, such kind of instances are treated as support vectors, right? These support vectors are used in the support vector machine to perform the classification. Now coming to the next one. Here in last video, I already discussed with you, that is a types of support vector machines. Support vector machines are classified into two types: linear support vector machines and non-linear support vector machines. We will discuss linear support vectors machines and non-linear support vector machines with clear diagrams. Now observe this. Linear support vector machines. See, this is what, see the see this instance space. This instance space contains some instances. We don't know initially these are the instances. The blue color instances are belongs to some class and this green color belongs to some other class. Initially we don't have any knowledge of this. After applying the support vector machines, some decision boundaries are constructed. Based on the decision boundaries, we will get the maximum margin hyperplane. Then whenever a new instance will enter into the picture, the new instance will be arranged into any particular class based on its features, right? See, the working, see here we are using what straight lines so to separate the to construct the decision boundaries. To construct the decision boundaries, here we are using straight lines or straight planes. See, how many instances are there? How many types of instances are there? There are two types of instances. One is the green color instances and another one is blue color instances. These instances are arranged on the coordinates x1 and x2. See, this x-axis belongs to x1 and this y-axis belongs to x2. Assume like this. Now, observe this. This is what x and y coordinate represents what two-dimensional space. Here, how many decision boundaries are required? Two decision boundaries are required to separate the instances which are on the two-dimensional instance space. And we are also constructing one more hyperplane, that is a maximum marginal hyperplane, right? Here, these are what hyperplane. These are what decision boundaries are hyperplanes. See this diagram here. Observe this here on the decision boundary. This is what the dotted line represents a decision boundary, and this is also, this dotted line also represents decision boundary. One dotted line is appeared at the blue color instances side, and another dotted line appeared at the green color instances side. Some instances, some blue color instances are appeared on the decision boundary. Some green color instances also appeared on the decision boundary, or some instances may be near to, very near to the decision boundary. Such kind of instances are treated as support vectors. On the decision boundary, some instances are appeared, or some instances are very close to the decision boundary. Such kind of instances, these instances are, we already discussed, these instances are as data points. But technically, these are what? These are not data points, these are instances. These instances are treated as support vectors. And what we are identifying here, we are identifying the maximum margin between, right, positive decision boundary and negative decision boundary. Positive decision boundary and negative decision boundary. See, go through the slide, read out this text. What is a hyperplane? I already told to you, right? The same definition is appeared here. You will, I mean, to read this, to understand this support vector missions clearly, you go through this slide. Right. Now, go through this slide. What is the definition of margin? See, already given explanation to the margin, but to get technical definition, read out this slide, right? Here, we are identifying support vector missions on the decision boundary, right? This is what decision boundary. Here, the distance between vectors and hyperplane is called as margin. What is the distance? The distance between support vectors and the decision boundary is called as margin. Now, till now what we discussed about decision boundary, hyperplane, data points, margin, maximum margin line or maximum margin hyperplane. We discussed till now, right? Maximum margin hyperplane is also called as optimal hyperplane. What is optimal hyperplane? See, in examination, you may get a question like this. Write and explain about optimal hyperplane. Optimal hyperplane is nothing but maximum margin hyperplane, where we are arranging maximum margin hyperplane. Maximum margin hyperplane is arranged between the positive decision boundary and the negative decision boundary. Positive decision boundary is also called as what? Positive hyperplane, and negative decision boundary is also called as negative hyperplane, right? That is what we need to know regarding this. support vector machine. Now, till now what we discussed, linear support vector machine. In linear support vector machine, what happened? The data is linearly separable. Here the data is divided into classes by using straight lines. By using straight lines. Now observe this. Here, this is the data on the instance space, or these are the instances on the instance space. These instances are separating by using straight lines. If the instances are separated by using straight lines, such kind of data is treated as a linearly separable data. The support vector machine, which is going to handle the linearly separable data, such kind of support vector machines are treated as linear support vector machines. Now, coming to the non-linear support vector machines. Whereas in non-linear support vector machines, the instance space containing instances are never separated or never classified by using straight lines or straight hyperplanes. At the point, we can't divide the instance space containing data or instances by using straight lines. Such kind of data is treated as non-linear data or non-linear separable data. To handle non-linear separable data, we are using, other than straight lines, such kind of support vector machine construction process is called non-linear support vector machine. Right? See, observe this here. These are the instances. The blue color instances and the green color instances are arranged like this. Observe the difference between the linear data representation. See, in linear data representation, yes, we can separate this data by using straight lines. Right? We can separate the data by using straight lines. Whereas in non-linear separable data, we can't separate this data by using straight line. Suppose here you may draw the straight line. You can't separate blue color instances and green color instances separately. See, suppose here you may draw the straight line. The left side of the straight line, both green color and blue color instances are appearing. Got the point? But your straight line should be separate. Blue color instances as one class and green color instances as another class. Got the point? In this case, such kind of classification is not possible. Now, what we need to do? We need to perform non-linear support vector machines. We need to do classification by using non-linear support vector machines. Now, observe this. Here, this is another case. Right? How we can perform non-linear support vector machines. Observe this. Here, we constructed some circle to separate the instances or to separate the data. Observe this. Here, what we identified the radius. Right? Here, in 2D representation, we may perform support vector machines. In 2D representation also, we may perform support vector machines. So, on the n-dimensional space, we are going to perform support vector machines. We are constructing models by using support vector machines to perform classification or regression kind of tasks. Now, this is what I explained in my previous video also. At the time, I drawn a diagram to explain this. Right? In this case also, we are constructing two boundaries. One is positive decision boundary, another one is negative decision boundary, and also we were constructing maximum margin line, maximum margin hyperplane. Right? This is what we need to discuss under types of SVMs. Sometimes you may get question like this: what is SVM, and what are the various types of support vector machines available? At that time, you need to explain what is support vector machine, right? And you need to explain with the diagram also. Then you need to explain types of support vector machines. There are two types of support vector machines: linear support vector machines and non-linear support vector machines. With the diagram, you need to explain. Right. Coming to the next concept, that is a SVM kernels. SVM kernels plays vital role while working with support vector machines. Here, the support vector machine algorithms implemented with kernel, right? That transforms an input data space into required form. See, why we are using kernels? Kernels are used to transform the input data space into a required form, right? Here, SVM uses techniques called kernel tricks, right? Here, kernel tricks are used to construct support vector machines. Here, kernels takes a low dimensional input space and transforms it into high dimensional space. See, to convert low dimensional input space into higher dimensional input space, we are using kernels. What is the objective of kernel? Kernels are used to convert or transform low dimensional input space into high dimensional input space, right? Here, when we go for kernels converts non-separable problems into separable problems by adding more dimensions to it. See, non-separable problems. We already discussed linear problems and non-linear problems. In linear problems, we can separate the data by using straight lines. Whereas in non-linear support vector machines, we can't classify the data by using straight lines, right? While handling non-separable data, while working with non-separable problems, to separate these problems, we're adding more dimensions, more number of dimensions. We need to add more number of dimensions. In such cases, we're going to use kernels. Here, kernels makes SVMs more powerful and flexible and accurate. With the help of kernels, SVMs are constructed with more powerful, flexible, and accurate. What are the various types of kernels available in support vector machines, or what are the various types of kernels used in support vector machines? Support vector machines are using three types of kernels: linear kernels, polynomial kernel, radial basis function. That is what RBF kernel, right? What is the full form of RBF? Radial basis function. With the help of these three kernels, support vector machines are transformed into the low dimensional input space is transformed into higher dimensional space, right? What about linear kernel? See this here. K indicates what? Capital K indicates kernel. Capital K indicates kernel. Kernel of x comma xi. Here, x and xi are two observations. What we are doing here? We are performing kernel. What kernel is going to do? Kernel is going to transform lower dimensional space into higher dimensional space. Kernel of x comma xi is equal to sum of x into xi. See what is going to perform in linear kernel? In linear kernel, Dot product means multiplication happened between two observations. If the first observation is x and the second observation is xi, what is the formula we need to use to perform linear kernel? To perform linear kernel operation, we are going to use the formula called as kernel, linear kernel k of x comma xi. Here x and xi are the observations. How many observations we are considering? Here we are considering two observations. Between these two observations, what happened? Dot product means the multiplication operation is performed. Right. Then see here how many vectors we are considering here? Two observations. These two observations are treated as vectors. Here first vector is x and second vector is xi. Right? Here what we are performing? Sum of multiplications between first vector and second vector. And coming to the polynomial kernel. See, in linear kernel, we performed a multiplication, sum of multiplications between the vectors. In polynomial kernel, we are performing the same sum of multiplications along with some additional functionalities. See, observe this. Polynomial kernel is a most generalized form of linear kernel, and it distinguishes curved or non-linear input space, right? It distinguishes what? It distinguishes non-linear input space. And what is the formula we are using to perform polynomial kernel? Kernel of x comma xi is equal to 1 plus sum of, here we are adding 1 to the linear kernel. Linear kernel. See, here we are using linear. Here we are working with non-linear. See, sum of x into xi. That is what the formula we used for linear kernel. But here we are adding 1 to the linear kernel. And see, here d is the degree of polynomial. Here we're identifying sum of products of two vectors along with the degree. Right? And coming to the next one, RBF kernel. RBF full form is a radial basis function. Here, RBF kernel is mostly used support vector machine classification. Here, it maps an infinite dimensional space at the point. In the earlier cases where we know the linear dimensional space or non-linear dimensional space, we use it. Here, the dimensional space is infinite dimensional space, and mathematically, this RBF kernel is representing by using the formula RBF kernel k of x comma xi. Here, x and xi are the two vectors, two observations are two vectors. That is equal to exponent of minus gamma into, here gamma is from 0 to 1. I mean, usually the gamma value should be from 0 to 1. Based on the requirement, the gamma value will be adjusted. But the most frequently used gamma value is 0.1. Right? 0.1 is the value between 0 and 1. Now, that 0.1 is multiplied with we already know the linear kernel equation, that is a sum of k into x into xi. Here, instead of multiplication or dot product, we are using negative sign. Means we are subtracting x and xi degree of 2. Right? See, till now what we discussed three types of kernels. First one is linear kernel. In linear kernel, we are applying dot product between two observations or two vectors. Here the formula is linear kernel of x comma xi is equal to sum of x into xi. In polynomial kernel, we are using polynomial kernel k of x comma xi is equal to 1 plus sum of products of the vectors with degree of polynomial d. And in RBF kernel, we are using the formula that is a RBF kernel k of x comma xi is equal to exponent of minus gamma into sum of x minus xi degree 2. Right? See, these are the different kernels we need to use to perform support vector machines classification. Till now, what we discussed? We discussed about see what is hyperplane, what is support vector, and how the decision boundaries are calculated. Then what are the differences between linear support vector machines and non-linear support vector machines with the diagrams we discussed, right? In this presentation, we also discussed optimal hyperplane. Optimal hyperplane is also called as maximum marginal hyperplane. Maximum marginal hyperplane. And we already discussed what is support vector. The support vector, some instances are arranged on the decision boundaries, or some instances appeared on the decision boundaries. Those instances are treated as support vectors. See, one more definition we need to know. That is the instances which are very close to the decision boundaries also called as support vectors. By using these hyperplanes, we are separating the data on the instance space. To separate the data on the instance space, we are using two approaches. One is a linear approach and another one is a non-linear approach. In linear approach, we are using straight lines to separate the data which is on the instance space. Whereas in non-linear support vector machines, we are not using straight lines. Instead of straight lines, we are using some circles or ellipse to separate the instances on the instance space. To construct support vector machines, we are using kernels also. What is the main objective of kernel? Kernels are used to transform the input data space into required form. Means the low dimensional input space is transformed into higher dimensional space. Right? Here, three types of kernels are used: linear kernels, polynomial kernels, and radial basis function kernels. Right? These are the concepts till now we discussed. In the next video, okay, I will complete these two also. Till now, we discussed the least square methods for regression, heuristic perceptron algorithm for linearly separable data. Using perceptron algorithm, we discussed linearly separable data, and recently we discussed support vector machines. With the help of support vector machines, we are identifying decision boundaries. See, here we identified linearly separable data and non-linearly separable data. Transformations are required. See, where we performed kernel approach is performed on the input. See, input low dimensional input space. Where we applied kernel approaches are performed on the low dimensional input space. That low dimensional input space is transformed into higher dimensional input space. To do this, we are using these three kernels. That is what we discussed here. Transform the space, the future space, the original space, the input space. See, the transformed space is called what? Future space. By using kernel algorithms, we are constructing future space. And the input space is called as what? Original space. These are synonyms. Transformed space or future space, original space or input space. Right. To do this, what we are using some kernels. Right. This is the algorithm we need to discuss regarding kernel approach, right? This is the algorithm we need to discuss for kernel approach. Now see this. Here the algorithm is kernel perceptron of dataset D comma kernel K. See where we are applying kernel. We are applying kernel on the instance space. What instance space containing? Instance space containing set of instances which are used for training purpose. See, observe the input for any algorithm. We need to know three steps. One is input, another one is output, and the last one is procedure. Here, input for this algorithm is dataset D and kernel K. This dataset D contains set of labeled training instances, and these are arranged on the coordinates, homogeneous coordinates. And coming to the output, what we are identifying here, we are identifying the nonlinear decision boundary. That nonlinear decision boundary, right, is defining by using coefficients infinite I. See, in the RBF kernel, what we are constructing indefinite dimensions, right? That is what that is representing by using infinite I. Right. Coming to the procedure, initially infinite I is assigned with 0 and the I value is from 1 to D. Means we are considering all the instances which are in the data set D. And initially converged is assigned as false. Here converged, we already discussed a few algorithms. In some algorithms we used flag variables. Here converged is like a flag variable. For converged variable, we are assigning a Boolean value false. And we are repeating whenever the converged value, we are repeating some steps iteratively by using a while loop. This while loop verifies initially whether the converged variable contains false value or not. If it contains false value, then the following statements are executed. The first statement of the while loop is true. True is assigned to variable converged. In this case, we are not doing any operations with the variable converged. Here converged is a Boolean, converged is a flag variable. For flag variable, we are assigning a Boolean value, either true or false. And coming to the inner loop, in inner loop, we are considering each and every object in the instance space, each and every object in the training data set D. And every time we are assigning, for every iteration, we are assigning each instance to the I. Then we are calculating or we are identifying the kernel. Here, which function we are using? Kernel of xi comma xj. We already discussed the equation kernel of xi comma xj. Instead of xi and xj, here we are using x comma xi. This is general formula, but here we are using specific formula xi and xj. Here I and j are the instances which are on the instance space. If the difference is less than 0, then what we are going to do? We are assigning infinite I plus 1 to the infinite I. And converged value is assigned as false. This procedure is repeating up to the last instance which is in the data set D. Here the condition is if yi summation from j equal to 1 to mod D. Here mod D indicates all the instances which are in the instance space, all the training instances which are in the data set D. Right. This is the algorithm where you were using to perform the kernel perceptron. What is the algorithm we are using? Kernel perceptron of D comma K. Once again, I'm repeating. Here D is a set of training instances from dataset D, and K is kernel function. Here kernel function is varying based on the kernel what we selected. That may be a linear kernel, polynomial kernel, or radial bias function kernel. Radial basis function kernel. Right. Till now, what we discussed? We discussed about support vector machines kernels. Thank you for watching this video. I will share assessment link to you. All of you must do the assessment test. In my next video, I will explain distance models. That is a 4th unit, 2nd chapter.
Thank you for watching this video.